Have you ever wondered how the worlds of customer success and product management can collide to create a supernova of customer delight? Today, we've got Jennifer Chiang, the guru who's been there, done that, and literally wrote the book on it. So welcome to another episode of the Jason's Take On podcast. We're excited to have you here. I'm your co-host, Jason Whitehead, based over in the US, and my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Noble, based in the UK. Say hello, Jason.
Hello, Jason.
All right. Today we have a very special guest, Jennifer Chiang, and she is the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Startup's Guide to Customer Success. She's also a product manager at Sesso, if I spelled that or pronounced that correctly. And before that, Jennifer has founded and led customer success teams at multiple startups. So she's been there from every step of the way and done the whole journey. And she's very passionate about helping companies, particularly startups, unlock the true potential of customer success through analytics, empowerment, and really a customer-centric mindset. What we're really excited about here today is Jennifer has not only run the CS groups at startup, but she's recently moved to head of product as well too. And really, I think there's a great opportunity here for us to learn from Jennifer's insights about how product and CS can better align and play well together and really make a great experience for customers. So Jennifer, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So let's just jump in, and why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background and your journey from your early stage in your career to your CS work now to product, and how that's all progressed for you.
Yeah, I feel like every other CS person out there, our paths are not linear. No one graduated with a CS degree or anything like that, as much as we wish we did. I graduated with a degree in economics, do not use that at all. But what's really great is that after it gave me a really good sense of all the intersectionalities of how the world works, which was actually really great. As I was going into startups, I was a generalist to start out. I was helping out the sales team, helping out marketing, helping out product, just doing whatever I could. And I was helping our sales. I became the right-hand man for the sales guy for a while. And what I realized is that we were doing such a great job in selling. And I would ask him, hey, what happens after we sell? Like, what happens after they close? Who's taking care of them? And I remember him saying, hey, yeah, that person with 10 billion other hats, yep, she'll take care of them. And I was like, whoa, this does not make sense. And that was the birth of the start of my customer success journey, where I started to understand a little bit more about what customer success means. And then at the same time, I realized I knew nothing about customer success. And this was a long time ago, not to age myself, but this is at the time when you typed in customer success in Google, there's not a lot of resources out there. And that's exactly why I wanted to write the book, is because I wanted to create another resource for folks, especially those in startups who oftentimes are the ones leading the teams with no budget, no headcount, no sense of no direction from their higher ups of what customer success should be. And started my journey there, interviewed a bunch of folks, learned a lot. And of course, through the years of leading customer success teams, consulting at other startup customer success teams, it's been just an absolute journey of growing with the industry. And I'm just so amazed by how the customer success industry has just grown, even in the last 10 years. And it's just absolutely fascinating. And then you mentioned my move to product. And yeah, I am so thankful to be able to move to there and have my team take a bet on me there. I think that change was spurred on by me being very close to product, being in the customer success leadership position. And I think a lot of folks, especially in the startup customer success space, could probably agree that when you're starting out and just at the beginning stages of a startup, you're trying to find product market fit. That's great, but you need to have that dialogue between customer success, which is on the ground, talking to customers every day, all day, to figure out that market fit part, as well as talking product and really harmonizing those teams together. So I became really good at leading customer success teams with that product focus, and how I am able to flip the script a little bit and now become a very customer success focused PM. So I'm just so happy, and it's been so cool.
That's awesome. What you say about the startups too, where you're just you're inventing it from scratch. You need to be nimble and to figure it out. And that's not very easy to do, especially for folks 10 years ago when there weren't those resources there. How do you think your background in customer success influenced how you approach product management? And what are the things that you think traditional product managers don't have that they should have?
Yeah, what's funny is that my boss tells me all the time the best product managers tend to come from some sort of customer background, whether that's support, success, sales, whatever it may be. And that's because we understand that customer voice. right? And just being so close to the customer and understanding their pains and being able to communicate that pain is so much easier said than done. And I think being on both sides now, I can really appreciate how to like communicate a customer's pain to product, or to be honest, any other team, not only just product, but also marketing, sales, whomever it may be. And how something that may sound very small, oh yeah, they didn't really care about that, can actually mean a lot to a product manager, or to our CSM, or to a marketer, or whatever it may be. So I think really tapping into that kind of like empathy driven approach has been really helpful for me in product.
That's great. Are there any particular tactics that you use to engage with them? Do you have a regular meeting between CS and product, or are there certain other things of every customer debrief comes out here, or what sort of some ways it's been most effective, or is it just the words that you use and how you communicate?
Words are very important. That's probably what will definitely help us scale along with processes. But I will say I am in a very fortunate position where I've hired and managed the team, the whole customer success team in the past. So I already have a really good relationship with them. I already know their working style, I already know their portfolios really well. And I'm able to say, hey, I'm working on this project. Can you tell me about X, Y, Z? And hey, oh yeah, that thing that we were talking about 8 months ago, is that still happening? And being able to have those really candid conversations and build those relationships. And that's actually what I really recommend for all product managers, but also all CSMs, to really develop great relationships with their product managers and CSMs, just understand what's going on, and being able to have that colloquial water cooler talk, even though we're in a remote environment, but having that water cooler talk to really get those ideas flowing, instead of only reaching out to one another when there's like a formal request.
That collaboration, I think, is super, super critical, and particularly with customer success, being there at the coalface, talking to the customers. But I always see one of the key roles as a customer success leader is you are that bridge across all the silos. And I think I love the way you're talking about how you brought that way of thinking into product. Has that, of the rest of the team, has it helped benefit them? Of the rest of the team expanded how they've worked with customers through these kind of customer success interactions that you brought in? And do you think it's benefited the wider team?
Oh, of course. And I think I'm also really fortunate to come into a product team that is already very customer centric. I would definitely not have joined product if I didn't think that they were customer centric. And we're constantly going in front of customers, talking with them, and not scared to join customer calls. Tomorrow I'm joining a customer call, and I literally just hit up the CSM and was like, hey, can I join this call tomorrow? I have a couple of things I want to ask, and just say hi again. It's been a while since I've seen them. And having PMs also develop that relationship with customers is really important, because you can actually have that extra leverage. Speaking from the CS side, having a PM on that call, there's extra leverage for expansion conversations, renewal conversations, building that extra relationship, making that customer feel a little bit more extra special, whatever it may be. And like being able to leverage that has been really cool to see in terms of collaboration.
I think it gives you, I've always said, it's that real voice of the customer, and you're helping bring it back to the wider team. I love it. I've been in organizations where we've got customers to come into the office, when we were back in the office, but have product do weekly meetings and get the whole business there, but bring customers in. And it really encourages a very different way of thinking. You're thinking as a team, but that team includes the customer. And I think it can, as you said, open up some really powerful conversations. We've talked a lot about kind of the benefits of these relationships. So what are some of the challenges when you've come in and tried to build up that alignment, particularly now you're in the product management side of things? What are some of the challenges you've seen with getting that alignment with customer success and other teams?
Yeah, what a great question, because it's so sad that I often hear startups, customer success teams not working, driving super well with their product teams. And it really boils down to communication, and that like sharing the same narrative. So if the product team thinks that there's no issue with the product, and the customer success team thinks there is an issue with the product, oh boy, you're in for a whirlwind of a ride. And so really it's just like sharing that same narrative and just understanding what the other people's objectives are. Not only of, okay, the objective is expansion, or the objective is renewal, or whatever it may be, or on the product side, the objective is to build X, increase X engagement, but also what our day-to-day is. So product oftentimes sends a lot of documentation over, hey, we just launched something. Here's 5 videos too much, and here's a 2-pager, and here's a slide that you can use, and here's you can do this and this. But I know also being on the customer success side, we have so much going on, and I'm looking at the calendar. We're at the end of quarter right now, so there's so much going on through a customer CSM's head right now, and so much to do, where that one feature that just got deployed, while it might be super important, isn't really necessarily resonating. So really figuring out, one, how do the teams communicate and how do they share that same narrative, but also like, how do we help educate each other? So not only does product need to figure out what's the best way to help to really empower CSMs to talk about new features, educate customers on new features, talk about the value that it brings and all that good stuff, but also the other way around, where how can we help enable and empower CSMs to tell customer stories to product? Sometimes and something that I used to do that I realize is not necessarily the best thing to do is that I would just say, okay, I just heard this, tag product, done. And I would just keep doing that because I knew live feedback was the best, it's most top of mind, it's easy to digest. And I would even sometimes do like a quick summary. But then what I realized is that product likes to digest things in themes. So if you keep sending them one-offs, it will just be in the backlog. But if you send them themes of, hey, here's a theme that I see. Here are 3 customers that in the last week that I've talked about this. Oh boy, is that going to ring some more bells? Obviously, add more things like, is this large customers, small customers, whatever it may be. But that's what I.
That's fascinating to me to hear that, because I'm very used to working more with the CS side of, and the idea is, communicate out, tag people, let them know what's going on, keep them in the loop, and not realizing that if that's not the way the product team works, or if it's more exhausting for them, that it's better to consolidate the feedback and do it once a week or something. Are there other disconnects that you see about either the working styles or the focus of this, or even just perceptions or misconceptions between product and CS? Do you think this is why people miss each other a bit?
Yeah, and I think also boiling down to communication, but to go one level deeper, is like how to help the other person understand context and why there's a no. So for example, if I say from product's end, oh, we can't do that, that's not very helpful to a CSM. The CSM can now go to the customer and say, sorry, our team said we can't do that. But like, it wouldn't necessarily give the CSM an idea of why. And being able to say, oh, we can't do that because of XYZ, or we can do that, but it would take X months to build, or whatever it may be. Like, giving CSMs more context is actually really helpful from the product standpoint, and instead of just saying, sorry, we can't do that, or sorry, you're just going to take 2 years and good luck, but really building that empathy and relationship in between the two. And I think the same thing goes the other way around. So if, for example, if product says, hey, have you guys seen this? People just saying, nope. And that's it. That's all I hear. Like, that sometimes it can be really difficult, because now I don't know what to look out for, because I don't necessarily know what you guys are seeing. So being able to say, hey, no, I don't see that, but something very similar that I do see is this. Little bits and pieces like that will help unlock a lot of really cool conversations and things that maybe you didn't even expect in the first place.
In the different organizations you've worked in, what's one of the best examples you've seen of collaboration between product and CS?
Yeah. It really is having a very customer-centric product organization. And this is maybe where my CS side is coming out a little bit, where
What do you mean by customer-centric product organization though? Because I think a lot of people think they understand it, but I'd be interested in seeing, how do you define what it means and know that you're actually there?
Oh, I love that you call that out, because I completely agree. Not only do product organizations say they're customer centric, but they're not, but also like
even
CEOs
organizations say it.
Yeah,
we're customer centric. What do you actually mean by that? And they don't really know. They really can't tell you.
Yeah, and it frustrates me so much when that happens. But when it comes to product centricity, it's not just saying, oh yeah, we build things for the product, or like we think about the customer when we build the product or anything like that. It's really diving deeper and being okay that, like, for the product organization to be very confident in their ability to say, hey, I was wrong. I'm going to fix, and we're going to pivot and move, like adapt quickly. So I think a really great example from my current organization, which I think that the product team has done an amazing job at, is we will go into calls with, hey, we want to talk about this. This is our thesis. This is our hypothesis. Let's see what's working, what's not working. And sometimes we come out of those calls going, oh shoot, we were focusing on the wrong thing all along. The customer brought out this really good point. And then we talked to a couple more customers and figure out if that's also the same issue. And we change our roadmap because we notice things like this, and we're okay of letting go of some, like, of our original idea to
Yep.
go forward with a bigger, better idea. And I don't think a lot of, from my experience, some product organizations can be a little bit steadfast of, oh, we already started on this, so we have to just finish. We'll finish it and that will be our next project. Instead of being like, hey, no, this is a bigger deal. Startup resources are finite and little. Let's pivot now and make sure that we're always building the best thing possible and not slowing down the roadmap.
I like what you're saying about finances being or resources being finite too. What are some of the things? I think product often gets a bad rap. Customer success is often the dumping ground for work people don't want to do, and I think product is often the blaming ground for work that for things that we don't necessarily. What are some of the things that product doesn't do that they should do to better enable customers and customer success teams? And what are some of the things that they do that maybe are not having the impact that they could scratch that off the list? Hey, we can save time here or save resources here. There's not the value add there as it comes to enabling the CS teams.
What's funny is that it's almost taking, how I'm going to answer that question is like taking a CS approach into product. So what I mean is, as a product manager, you're going to, like, if I were to put my CS hat on and I'm going to talk to my client, which in this case would be a CSM, I want to say, what are their goals? How do I help them succeed? Right. And part of that is also, how do I help them look really good to their higher ups? And I know this is weird because it's all internal, but that's what we think about when we work with customers. So, hey, who's our champion? How do we make them look good? How do we empower them to make us look really good with their higher ups?
Yeah.
And then bringing it back to product, I think what product managers don't often do is really share what the value is to the CSM. We always go, hey, this feature deployed, I'll help you do this. Instead of saying, hey, here's the impact this feature will have. Here's how it will unblock your expansion conversations. Here's what it's actually going to unblock, or here's what it's going to do for you, the CSM, but also for your conversations that we know you're having. And I think that it's a slight shift, but it's really powerful when you start your conversations, or when you start your conversation with that value prop first, instead of saying, we fixed X or we built X. It's no, we want to increase renewals by maybe creating this new feature line that we know a lot of customers want, and like talking through, hey, our customers want this because here's a quote, here's a quote, here's a quote, and really just selling it to them. And that has been so much more effective, not only on just the communication and relationship side, but also in seeing the adoption of the feature, which is also really important.
It almost sounds like, as a product person, you're viewing the CS team as another one of your customer groups. How do you enable them to be successful? And as I imagine, sales are also another internal customer for you. You've got a lot of hats that you're wearing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's a great way to think about it, though, isn't it? Because it does. I think I've always said that you've got internal customers, and you've got to work with other teams the same way, and I think it does increase collaboration. It increases the way you work together, and it works two ways. And I think that collaboration and kind of working, trying to get rid of the silos is such a critical thing to do, because we've all involved in, I think, a lot on the B2C side, when you get pushed about from pillar to post in organizations and you just think you guys aren't joined up, you don't know what you're doing. And having someone that's focused on that mission to get everyone to think about the customer. How do we all be customer centric? And what does that really mean? It's a really powerful proposition. I think it's difficult to do. And these stories and experiences like you bring to Jen, where you've seen organizations do it, they're great successes, and you just need to see more of it. Are there frameworks and things that you've learned and built over the years based on that you could replicate? So as you go from one organization to another, that this is how to achieve this. Do you bring your own frameworks with you?
Sometimes, yes, but I will say, like anything else, there's always a little bit of nuance. But what I always like to bring is like this idea of focus, and the focus stemming from what our customers are like and what our product is like. And as you can see, this is actually something I talk about in my book, which is, how do we help focus the customer success team? And if I were to extend it even more, focus the company based off of what I call product complexity, which is, do you have a very complex product? So a very complex product could be like Salesforce, where if you give me Salesforce out of the box, I would have no idea what to do with it, versus something like Uber Eats, where I'm like, okay, I know what to do from day one. You don't need to teach me how to do this. And then also plotting it on another axis, what I call user complexity, which is that idea of how much does a customer, how much emotional capacity has the customer put into this. So a good example could be, maybe I have a dog walking service, and the dog walking service, my day to day, it all goes well. I'm not thinking too much of it. But if something were to go wrong with it, I want to know, like, immediately. I would drop everything and make sure the dog's okay or anything like that. So you can see how, and then versus something, and I think I used the example of a picture resurfacing tool where, if my pictures had a little smudge on it, I can wait a day. I can wait a day to touch up that picture for tomorrow, whatever it may be. So that's like the user, what I call user complexity. And then you can put this nicely in a 2x2 matrix and better understand how you want to focus your time. So for example, if it's a very complex product and users care about it a lot, I call it like revolutionizing. So being able to really provide that high touch white glove service with customers and helping them go step by step, making them feel comfortable, with a big asterisk of sometimes white glove does not always mean high touch. It also could be tech touch like white glove, but that's probably a little down the line if you're a startup. But yeah, just like really being focused on what you want, like how you want to approach the customer, what kind of mindset they're in. I'll give one more example. If they are not very, they don't really care about you too much, they don't really, or actually, no, let me give the example of they care a lot about you. So very high on the user complexity side, but very low on the product complexity side. So it's a very easy app or easy service. Then I like to say you want to delight. You want to make sure that they're happy, that they're up to date, but you're not necessarily inundating them with weekly calls and 50-page handbooks of how to fill stuff out. No, they don't need that. They understand how to do it. How do we help? How do we meet them where they're at? Sorry, that was a very long answer to just say it. I bring this framework to help folks understand, to meet people where they're at. And that has been super helpful, not only in the customer success side, but also in the product side.
I love that. I'm really curious, as someone who's come from the customer success side and the product side, two questions here. What's your vision and thoughts as to where do the two go? Is there a coming together? There's a lot of talk about product-led growth, customer-led growth. Do you see that collaboration getting stronger generally? And then I'm just curious as to what's next for you.
Yeah, so product growth, customer-led growth, all really great ideas. And I think it really boils down to, hey, how do we talk about it, bringing this all together, and how do we make sure that what we're building really is benefiting customers and people see the value? If I were to take it a step further, I would say it's a combination of, it's like product and customer-led growth. I know it's not ever that simple, but that's how I see it. But I really do love the customer-led growth movement right now. I think it has a lot of really great legs. I was working with Catalyst on talking about that CLG advisory team as well. And there's a lot of really great reasons why people should focus on customer-led growth for sure.
And what about yourself? What's next for you?
Yeah, right now, still very early on in my product career. Not to say I will never come back to CS. There's definitely a world where I do, because I love customer success is in my blood now and really love the community. But I want to get to know product a little bit more. I'm still early in my little journey here and want to grow and see how that grows and kind of take it from there. I feel every part of my life, whether that is joining startups, joining customer success, joining product, writing a book, all of this has all been because I was open to opportunities and not necessarily being stubborn about what my quote unquote next step in life would be. So I'm going to just keep it open and see what happens.
I love that. And I think a lot of that is, I think there's a certain mindset you have to be successful in customer success and product. And it is that openness. I'm going to, whatever the day brings, I'm going to handle it. And there's a level of resilience. I was talking to someone today, and I think your background, I don't think you get more kind of resilience than this background coming from CS, dealing with customers, and also the challenges in product, because it's really tough. There's some massive technical challenges we're dealing with these days, and the customers are very demanding. There's the whole, I love the kind of comparison you mentioned about Salesforce and the likes of a Deliveroo type service. They are so different, but people's expectations for what customer experience. I was telling Jason the other day, there are some really good examples of bad customer experience generally. and there isn't the right level of investment. And it's just so exciting to see this collaboration. I think I like to think that you're not on your own, and there are other organizations that are also seeing this light and starting to do this. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, me too. I think it's on the up and up. So more and more startups, big companies alike are realizing that this collaboration is key and investing in it, which I love.
Cool.
That's awesome. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. Before we go, we always like to offer up our bold challenge question. And yours is, what bold actions should CS leaders take to better align with product? What's something really aggressive that they could do that would have a huge impact?
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do. I'm trying to think of something that's really bold and out there. I would say go out in the field with them, with product. Bring your head of product, bring a PM, and do customer on-sites with them. I think you'll learn a lot on both sides of how product thinks about customer discovery, and product can learn a lot about how you guys think about the whole customer journey and how it all ties together, and also be able to put your heads together. Long road trips, sometimes it's a great time to just talk and hang out and brainstorm like crazy, and yeah, come up with crazy ideas that way. So I would say the big bold action, bring your PMs along with you guys more. We want to talk to customers, and so any and more opportunities, the better.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Thank you so much. So before we go, we always invite our guests to give a shameless plug of a passion project, something that you're interested in, and let people know how to get in touch with you. So please go ahead and share your thoughts.
Yeah, and thanks again for having me. This was such a blast. My shameless plug is I have a book on Amazon. It's called The Startup's Guide to Customer Success. It is an Amazon bestseller, been on a lot of customer success top lists. Love for you guys to check it out and read it. We have ebook and as well as paperback. And so yeah, check it out, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Jennifer Chiang.
That's great. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Really cool conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.